This is a Shields of Shame exclusive.
Welcome to another episode of Shields of Shame. Today, we uncover a troubling story from the Cobb County Sheriff's Office in Georgia. Meet an officer accused of retaliating after being passed over for a promotion. Investigators allege he leaked sensitive information to a sheriff's candidate, his close friend, who then shared it with the media to tarnish the department's reputation. When confronted, the officer denied any wrongdoing, but undeniable evidence, documents and digital logs, revealed his deceit. He had been accessing and distributing confidential information about inmates and fellow officers. Your unwavering support has been crucial in bringing this story to light. Thank you.
Today's date is July 2nd. It's going to be 8:34 a.m. I'm here with Sergeant William Bonner. This is Investigator Gross with Lieutenant Hubal.
As you know, the Rolodex has been restricted for a little while now.
Okay.
There's a reason for that. Apparently some people are using it inappropriately. So I want to ask you specifically about, have you ever shared any information from any of our search systems with anyone outside of the agency?
From like the Rolodex?
Rolodex, the jail search systems, anything that we have access to that an average public citizen wouldn't.
I don't ever remember doing anything like that, no.
You don't remember doing anything, or you have not?
I don't think I have, no.
You don't think you have?
I'm pretty sure I have not.
Okay, there's never been a time where someone said, hey, can you give me this person's number, address, and they didn't work here?
Been here 19 years, but no.
Okay, what about just in the last year?
In the last year, no.
Okay, so we've run reports as to do with the Rolodex and looked at anyone that might have searched things that have been, we know that have been released. So we have a couple situations where we'll have to go through it and see if you can recall why it is you looked up certain things, because I can't think of a reason why you would need it in the course of your duties that day. Maybe it's just because I'm not aware of what you're doing, but one thing in particular is Dio McFadden.
McFadden?
Mm-hmm. Did you ever release any information to do with him?
No.
Okay. Do you remember looking him up on Rolodex in the last 6 months or so?
I don't remember looking at McFadden in any time.
So an hour and a half before a reporter reaches out to McFadden on his cell phone that he just changed. So it had been on the Rolodex for 1 week. So it was a brand new number. An hour and a half after you looked up his information, he gets a call from the reporter. Does that ring a bell?
I wonder what time Krispy Kreme closes.
When was that? I mean, I just,
We can see the date.
January 30th.
this year?
Yes, sir.
So you understand the totality, and you probably wouldn't have known this at the time, but McFadden gets a whole new phone number, lets us know that he gets a new phone number with the form. We update the Rolodex for 1 week. So in essence, no one really has his new number unless he gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
You look up the number, you look up McFadden, which will show the number, and then within an hour and a half, he gets a call from a reporter.
Literally 30 minutes later, actually.
Seriously?
You looked it up at 1:19, and at 1:58, you received a call or a text. And no one else looked it up. No one else looked up McFadden during that time period.
So can you think of any reason why you would have looked up McFadden's information? You don't work with it at the jail.
Right. I mean, I've looked up people on occasion just to see what shift or whatever, if they're still here. I mean, I don't particularly remember looking him up. I mean, I've looked up people before just to see.
Okay.
what's
In
going on.
2019, we've had a bunch of unfortunate inmate deaths.
A female inmate in the Cobb County Jail has died, according to officials there.
This is the third report of an inmate death at the facility in the last month.
Owens said his goal was to change the culture inside the detention center that has seen dozens of complaints, a few lawsuits, and a number of deaths in the last few years.
It's a robust plan, and we're going to jump in it with both feet.
6 deaths have been reported since he took office.
Okay, and another thing that you search often is information on those inmates in the jail search systems. Why would you be doing
On
that?
the inmate deaths?
Yeah, you search the inmates that have died, either the day of their death or the day after. You're not investigating any of the deaths, are you?
No.
All right, so what are you looking at for?
I guess when you hear about it, you just are curious to see if you've ever dealt with them before, you know, in the jail. You just kind of curious to see, put a face with a name or whatever, see who.
Okay, so you never given any information
No.
to anyone outside the sheriff's office?
No.
Okay.
Is there anything recently that sparked your memory as far as an inmate death or anything like that? Any reason why you recently have looked up anything?
I mean, I think we had one pass, about 2 weeks ago or something? I don't know, did I look that one up? I don't remember putting it or not.
Well, it just happened, you don't remember?
I mean, I may have. Honestly,
So would there be any reason for you to look up an inmate from 2019? Let's say in the last month or two, but the inmate died a year ago?
Did I look that one up in 19?
We're asking you to tell us.
I mean, I don't remember.
Okay,
I
so
don't even know.
on May 22nd, you looked up inmate Christopher Hart, who passed away last November, I believe. So.
Oh, this May? I looked it up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A week ago.
Let me tell you about that one. His mother called.
Okay.
His mom called, and she was trying to get, I was on the desk. She
Okay.
called the desk. And she was asking me, I think about getting his property or something. And she said she'd been trying to get a hold of Sergeant Carter. And I was like, well, I don't know if he was here or not that day or whatever, but anyway.
Was it Sunday? That's when you normally work at desk, or were you?
I've been working a lot on Sundays and Mondays because Carlson's been off.
Right.
But I was trying to figure out who this guy was that she was talking about, and then I sent Major Hillsman an email
Okay.
about.
And that's what we're looking for, some reason to explain it. So that would have been Monday, 2 weeks ago, so
Yeah, I was trying to
almost 2 weeks.
figure out what we were talking about, because initially, I didn't even realize this was someone that had passed away until during the course of this conversation, she told me that.
Okay.
And so I was like, so I pulled it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what she's talking about. So I emailed our Major Hillsman and let him know that the mom had been trying to get a hold of, like, a CID, trying to get his property back or something. But,
All right. And you also looked up inmate Hart the day after he died. You know, we talked about that a little bit. And I know you said that sometimes we look it up to see if we've been involved with them. So this is what I want to make sure of.
Yeah.
You did never release any information to anyone outside here.
no. Again, I've been here 19 years almost, and worked at jail probably, close to 8 of those. So I've dealt with a ton of people over the years, and sometimes when you're just like, I wonder if I knew this person during the course of my time out there, and I didn't recall, you know.
Okay.
the
What about
case.
McFadden? Now that we've talked about it a little bit, anything come to mind as why? It's pretty coincidental.
It is.
Now, you could have given it to someone that worked here too, if they called and asked you to look it up, or there could have been some reason for that, but obviously, the information you may not have given it directly to a journalist, but someone did.
And this was off of my sign-in, or my login?
No, I didn't.
I just don't remember any reason I would look up McFadden or looking up McFadden any time. I know we worked together out of the jail, but I just don't remember looking at
And
it.
I hope you understand the concern. We obviously had to change the Rolodex settings, which is causing some people headache, like at the desk.
Yeah, you can't get a hold of the deputy on their cell. I mean, I've experienced that when they're not answering. I
Right.
pulled up forward to try to call them,
Right.
or someone that maybe doesn't work in the office, maybe a forgery person or something. I'm like, Well, no, I can't call
And it
them.
requires more work now because someone is sharing the information.
I don't know if it's, how the settings are, it has to be a lieutenant or major higher than pull their numbers, but in a situation like that, I can't get a hold of
Right,
it.
well, now you know why that is like that.
Well, yeah.
Because someone giving out personal information of employees is concerned. It's not something that we want happening. And for years, we've had people concerned about their Rolodex and how their information was there.
Yeah,
And I guess they were right to be concerned.
I was concerned quite frankly, because, you know, we've had a few people here that were a little concerned, and I was concerned my information was on there for them to get. My address and
It's
stuff.
not now, unless they're a lieutenant or above. So,
Right,
I think the goal is to figure out who was giving information out.
right.
You're not, obviously, we looked at the whole system and it's searching, so
Mhm.
we're trying to get to the bottom of it. And what we're doing is, going through and getting, so if you were the one that gave out information, here you would have to get out in some way. It's not gonna be through the work email or the phones either, right? So it'd be through your cell phone most likely. So a good way to clarify what's going on is to get your call records that you can burn out yourself. And it shows, yeah, you just log into your, what do you have, Verizon?
I got it. Sprint.
So the Sprint, you should be able to log on to your Sprint account online and pull out your call records for that time period. So January on is what we're looking into.
January, for now.
And that'll show that you called, texted, at least from there. So have you had anyone reach out and ask for information?
No.
Okay. Have you ever told anybody that you provided Jimmy Herndon with information?
No.
Never?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Even jokingly?
I think I joked that they think that I'm a Herndon snitch or something, which I'm not, and I wasn't.
Who's they?
I don't know. I don't know who it would be, but, you
Why
know,
would they think that?
I don't know, I guess because we were still on Facebook, just logged on to
No, they never,
Facebook.
I mean, there's hundreds of people still Facebook
Right.
friends with them. Okay. Can I get that bullet point sheet, thanks? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it's beyond coincidental on some of these things, because I understand, you know, I get that we all look up things when you hear somebody on the radio, you're like, oh, who is that? Let me run that number and see, because I do see a lot of that you actually do. The thing that I'm having an issue with is it's ultimately, it's just very, I won't even use coincidental because it's beyond coincidental that literally no one else in the entire sheriff's office ran McFadden up until that point with the new number. That's the key thing that I keyed in on. And there's a lot of other things that you could try to explain away is like, hey, I looked this inmate up because of this happened. I get all that, right? But the thing is that McFadden had a changed number. There was no one else that looked up his number. Now, could have someone else, him personally, give it out? Yes. But the fact that 30 minutes before he received a text on his phone from someone he didn't give the number to, you looked it up. And so for me, that's hard to get over, and I'm looking for some kind of explanation from you other than I just don't recall, because to me, like, I would remember if I looked up somebody and then, you know, that I don't ever talk to, there's gotta be a reason you looked at them. Like, you know, I'm looking for an explanation of like, well, yeah, maybe that day I was, you know, working whatever position and someone asked for McFadden's number. I'd get that, but the fact that you don't recall or don't know a reason why you would looked up McFadden is kind of hard for me to understand, because, you know, I just wish we could figure something out there, because think back hard, I know it's in January, but at the same time, you look people up for a specific reason, you know, like, you look up Robin all the time, maybe for her number or something like that. Maybe that's a same reason for McFadden. Like, if I want to get a hold of McFadden and I don't have his number, if I don't have a lieutenant's number, I can look him up and get his number and call him. But if you didn't reach out to McFadden, then why were you looking up McFadden's number?
Right.
Or his address? You know, those things were available to you when you looked it up. And, you know, this is clearly not the end of the world by giving out someone's phone number, but it is, you know, if you gave it out for a reason or someone else gave it out for a reason, then it just explain it, because that's what we're looking for. Like, right now, no one's gonna believe that you just randomly looked up McFadden's number or looked up his name. That just doesn't make sense to anybody who's looking at
It
it.
is only a lot of questions with command staff, if that's the answer we come back with.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't know, I don't recall. Well, I mean, this is not the Hillary Clinton, like, oh, I don't recall
Right.
doing all these 30,000 emails. This is one little thing, there's gotta be a reason you would have done it. And if it is to get his number, then just explain why. Because we all see the writing on the wall, at least I do. And this was not me starting this whole thing. I'm coming in fresh mind, looking at this from a,
Or you just gave it out and didn't think anyone was gonna do anything like that. McFadden was pissed. They called him asking about stuff to do with his job on his phone that he just changed the number to. He was pissed.
Why are they calling me fat? I mean, I don't even understand what.
They're asking about work. They're trying to write an article. Obviously, he was a journalist. They're asking about his job and what he's doing on his new phone that he just changed the number on for that purpose, so that random people wouldn't reach out to him. He thought it was a joke at first. Thought someone was messing with him.
I mean, just put yourself in his situation. How,
I know that would piss you off.
I would be livid if I found out that someone literally had given out my number and someone was trying to show up at my house or whatever, because, I mean, that's happened with all this stuff. People have showed up at other people's houses.
Employees' houses.
Employees' houses for the sheriff's office have shown up to their house. So you can imagine that you had a concern that other people had your address. Well, that in fact did happen. Now, they weren't there for malicious purposes. They didn't, weren't trying to hurt them, but it's still a violation of their privacy. And so that's why we're looking at it. We're not just randomly looking into this. There's been things that have happened to employees here that should have never happened. So I'm still looking for an explanation of why, McFadden was looked up on your account. Because, I mean, it's your login, your password. It's not like someone randomly just logged in, hacked into your account just to look up McFadden. So.
Do we know what day of the week that was?
Oh, we can find out.
It's the 30th. January 30th, so it'll be a Thursday.
I could look, but I'm pretty sure it was your patrol car.
It was a car computer?
That's right here. Give me a second.
So while he's looking at it, you also look up people that are involved in active IA cases pretty often. And it always seems to coincide around the time they're either being interviewed up here or they've been disciplined on something. And I'm curious to know why is it that you have so much interest in that kind of stuff? Because not everyone's looking up everyone who has an IA case. That just doesn't happen. You might see it on occasion where someone's like, who is this? And they just look up the picture. I get that. We're not trying to be unreasonable, but I mean, you've looked up Seaman, Coachman, and Deputy Drake, who ended up being Inmate Drake.
Yeah.
Looked him up.
See, that's what I get. You remember that.
Well, I mean, that was the one
remember
that,
McFadden.
because I know that CID was involved in, I guess, getting him, so I was curious who they were talking about. I didn't know, because he was so new, I didn't know who it was.
Right.
I was trying to figure out what the heck,
How were you involved with what CID was doing?
I wasn't, I mean, it's just normal curiosity, it's something you can pull up. I mean,
Do you remember how you heard about them looking into it? Because it's not something we normally broadcast, however.
I had just heard that there was a jail deputy that was apparently in some kind of trouble or something, but I don't remember who. I don't remember. I don't have the greatest memory about things that aren't important to me.
But you had to have a conversation where you knew his name because you looked it up. And you looked it up on the date of his arrest. This would be right after he got to the jail.
I probably just heard that they had arrested one of ours, and I was kind of curious who this person was.
Right. Do you remember if someone called you from the jail and let you know that they'd arrested someone? Or?
I don't remember. I'm not trying to be vague or play games, guys. Just honestly, I don't have the best memory.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
But if I don't ask you.
Because that was like 2 years ago? Or how long? I don't even know how long ago.
It was a year. May of 19.
So do you remember looking at Resh? reason why you looked up Rich.
You know what he looks like.
When did I look at Rich, if you don't
The
mind?
same day as you looked up McFadden.
Was Reddish already working down there again? Okay, I don't remember. I know he's been
In January? I think he was probably still in courts. I'm going off memory,
I
but
probably looked him up to call him. I mean, because I've known him for a while, but I didn't have his cell.
Right, so that's why I'm sitting here saying like, that made sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's an explanation that we could say to command staff,
Yeah.
hey, this person was looking up McFadden because he called McFadden, but
Yeah.
did you call McFadden?
I don't think I did.
Right, someone else did, that's the issue. And we didn't, and I say all this because I'm not trying to, we didn't just pick your name out of something because we heard about some, rumor. Like, we narrowed in through several other people and ended up with you on specific things.
yeah.
We
McFadden
searched
complained
everybody.
that his phone number was
Right,
called.
right.
So, and he says the only way they could have got it was through their Rolodex, because I barely had given anyone my number. So that's how this all started, because we have an employee pissed that his information was given out.
Mm-hmm.
You know
I don't
McFadden, you
know.
know he would be pissed. So that's how we got to where you are. It's like he said, no one had looked up that new number except for you. So, all right, well, we're gonna get you in front of a computer, I'm gonna go grab a laptop or something. You know your login for your Sprint account?
I can try to figure it out. I don't normally log into it, but.
Okay, I'm sure you can figure it out. Well, you can always, reset the password or something if you have to. But, we'll get those records from you so we can take a look at them. Do you have anything else that might help us understand what we're looking at? Because we've gone through a few of them, but there's multiple dead inmates that you look up, and I'm sure that happens on occasion, but you pretty consistently look at, I think it was like 6 of the 7 that passed away. So it could be innocent, but it also could be providing information to someone that's writing articles about dead inmates. And maybe not directly to a journalist, but someone who's talking to one. So that's what we're trying to determine if it has it. And the best way I can think to make sure everyone can be rest at ease that you're not doing that is to look at your records and verify. So if you've never called anybody through there, that doesn't completely exonerate you, I guess, because there's other ways to communicate, but, it's a start. I mean, that's what normal people would just grab their phone and go, so.
Yeah, so and to follow up with it, it's not, we're not sitting here saying that they can't, that's their right to do as a journalist, it's to write about things. But when it becomes our problem is that when private information of employees that work here is being given out.
Right, and they have a process. They can get any of the information that's in our system through open records, and they know that, so. Like I said, if you were doing it, I would imagine you were doing it with someone you might have trusted, and they basically fucked you over if that's something you did. Let me go grab a computer. We can pause the interview.
It's like I said, this wasn't mine in the beginning, and I'm looking at it from a fresh set of eyes. It's just, they're gonna want an explanation of the McFadden thing. I mean, everything else, we all look up stuff all the time. Just curiosity. It's just.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, like another employee you looked up, and that person got a visit from a reporter at her house. Coincidentally, you looked her up too.
At their house? Can you tell me who that one was?
Shelby Davis.
I looked up Shelby Davis.
Looked up Davis, to be fair.
Davis, yeah.
The last name Davis.
I totally don't remember looking up Shelby Davis. Never.
And you don't remember looking at McFadden at all? Like it doesn't?
I don't. It doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
See if I can key in on some more stuff you looked up that day, the same day, so that way it's fresh.
But I can check to see what you were doing that day. It was a Thursday though. You're not typically on the desk unless it's on Sunday.
When you look up, you misspelled McFadden with a McFadded, and then you did McFadden.
But you looked up Reddish that day. You looked up Ramos.
Who?
Ramos and Goins.
Oh, there's another one. The IA case.
All on the same day. Literally all within 30 minutes of each other.
You see what that might look like? These are things that are high profile within the sheriff's office as far as they go. And you're looking them up as if someone's giving you a list to look up things. That's what it appears to be. So if you could remember what's going on, that would really help. If not, we have to, you know, just go with I don't remember and hope that your records don't show anything. But texting, calling is not the only way to communicate. So.
I mean, that's just, to me, I could.
And if you did, make sure you don't sit here and lie about it. That's never gonna happen.
That's my thing. Like, I could literally take out all this other stuff, all this junk, right? All this stuff that just looks like we did something here, and go, I need 3 pages of this whole report. I mean, these 2 pages right here. He gets a call 30 minutes after, or a text 30 minutes after you look him up. Then you proceed to look up Ramos, Goins, all things within the same 30-minute time period. So unless someone hacked your account and looked up stuff on your IP address, you know, I don't want to be accusatory, you know, because I don't know. I'm just saying it's just way too coincidental for me. Not knowing anything because I haven't been up here that long. It's something that needs to be explained.
All right.
Somehow, somewhere.
T-Mobile about spread.
Yep.
A shot at remembering it if you don't mind.
I'll probably have to, I think it's on my phone, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just my phone number.
I would try your phone number and then a password that you would typically use. And if that doesn't work, we'll just, you can do a forgot your username.
Password 2020. Just go to your call log and see if it pulls up. Because I'm literally looking at my phone and I can see everybody I talked to that day on January 30th, 2020. All the way down.
How do you just keep rolling?
Yeah, it'll load all the way down. And
That's incoming. So Herndon called you at 1:32 on that day. Isn't that the time you searched?
Is it?
Mm-hmm. So now do you remember?
how long was it called?
How do you tell?
Uh, 40 minutes and 24 seconds.
All right, so start telling me what happened because I know you remember that.
Easiest thing right now is just tell the truth, because like I said,
I beg you, please do not sit in here and lie, because you know how that goes. Just, I get that it's gonna suck, but you need to tell us what happened.
So what am I looking at if this is the deal? Can we talk off the record for a minute?
Well, we don't do off the record, because anything you tell me, I've got to be able to tell the command staff. But you can ask questions, and I'll answer you honestly.
I mean, you know, I probably did give him that number. I mean, if it's all pinpointed now, I mean, I know, you know, I'm not.
Did he say why he wanted the number?
He said he wanted to talk to him. He didn't tell me he was gonna give it out. He told me he wanted to talk to him himself.
Mm-hmm.
About
So,
something.
like I said, you gave it to someone you trusted.
Well, I thought he was gonna talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I need to talk to him.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't think he was gonna do some stupid shit like that.
The AJC called him.
I didn't know he was gonna do that.
Did he work here? Was it appropriate to give him anything?
No.
Regardless of your feelings on whether he should be here or not?
Shouldn't have done
as much as it appears this is about Herndon and all the nonsense he's doing, it's really about someone giving out information, because we've been working this case for months. And now that it doesn't matter anymore, we're asking you, because it never was about that. It was about the fact that people were giving out information.
Yeah.
How many other things did you tell him?
He used to tell me stuff, LT. He would get,
So you weren't the only one talking to him.
he knew, I'm telling you, being out there at Station A for almost 5 years, I don't know jack going on here. I mean, we've known each other. He and I took the test at the same day. He and I took the obstacle course at the same day. For whatever reason, he started a year after me. I mean, we've known each other through here. I've never been with him outside of work, ever. I'm not the guy that's, you know, chummy. I never gave him $1 for his campaign, not a penny, not $1, nothing. But I have known him a long time. He and I know he was an ass, and I know he did some stupid stuff, but he was always cool to me. He told me he wanted to talk to him. He did not say,
But what could you have said to him in that case?
oh, I should have said no. I shouldn't have done that.
And you looked up other people. So when we take that phone and compare it to all the times you're searching for people that work here or inmates that work here, we're gonna find a call from Herndon.
I mean, we can check. I really don't
We
think
are
so.
going to check. We have to.
I don't think so, though.
We owe it to the people that work here to figure out who's giving away their information. And the inmates, that information in the bookend screen is not all open records information. Not through the method that you just looking it up and giving it to them. It has to be documented that it's been requested, and then they redact certain information.
Excuse me.
So he was going around what he needed to be doing.
I can assure you, it wasn't a ton of stuff, just anything. I mean, he would tell me stuff. He would ask me stuff I wouldn't even know about.
Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do next. It's gonna take some time. We need to go through Parker and look at the call logs and compare them to the searches that we have. That any of our employees that he looked up by name. Radio numbers I'm not as concerned with, because that's likely you just hear a number on the radio and try to figure out who it is. And as you sit here and do that, you need to think about what you gave out and let us know what you gave out.
I don't even remember him asking me anything about Reddish. Honestly, that was my thing. I don't know. He wouldn't. Why would he want to know about Reddish?
You got Reddish, Coachman, Season.
yeah.
I mean, all these people have issues at the sheriff's office at some point. And it's always around that time they're having the issue. So you hear a rumor about something and you look it up. If that's all it is, then there shouldn't be a call associated to it. So that's why we want to do it. So, because we don't want you to get pinned down for something that wasn't nefarious and wasn't giving someone from the outside. I mean, the man was terminated from here.
I thought he resigned.
Yeah, that's what he told you. That's what it was listed as before, but he's violated that contract, and now it's clear that it can be known that he was terminated from here. If he resigned during an investigation, you had to at least known that. He didn't just resign voluntarily while he was, he was under investigation. Of course you knew that. Everyone knew that.
Did you text him that day, or just a call? He had to have known to call you. I'm assuming you texted him.
I don't think I did.
Okay. Well, we're gonna sit here and I guess go over all this. I'm not sure how far your call log goes back, but we can.
It's gonna take some time.
I honestly don't know, but I don't think there's gonna be some deluge of information. I mean, even if I talked to him, doesn't mean I was telling him anything that I knew on the computer, though.
Okay, well then you'll help us explain that. Well, if there's a call from Herndon or to Herndon associated with a search, then that's whenever you can say, okay, I remember that, but I didn't actually give them the information, or yes, I did give them that information. It may be possible. That's why we want to go through it, because I do not want stuff associated to you that is innocent, okay? But in the same token, if you did give out information, you need to be honest and tell us. Okay, so it's just gonna take some time, but we're gonna go through it. I'll get you something, I'm gonna sit down for a second.
Can I get a water over to you, maybe?
Absolutely.
Years, and here we go.
That's what I'm saying. It's just, it sucks because I hate doing this too. You know, I didn't ask to come up here and ask people the hard questions, but as I said, there's 2 pages of this giant stack that mattered to me. All this stuff is probably true, but that if he hadn't changed, then it'd been different, but we changed numbers and it was pretty obvious. And I could kind of tell how you were acting, but I don't sit here and.
I have, I'm acting.
I had a feeling that you hadn't done it, but it's okay. That's what I want to go to now.
It's like,
I just want to be honest.
I don't really remember, you know, but, you know, you give me this, all this other stuff, and I'm like, well, maybe I didn't tell him what it was, but he, you know.
We had a 40-minute conversation with him. I mean, and I don't know Herndon very well, you know, but you're friends, I get that, but, you know, the step outside the box was when you gave out the phone number. It is what it is. What I want to make sure now, though, is obviously this is a lot that we're going to go over, but I just want to make sure that we're already down a path. Let's just be honest about everything so that at least in the end we can say we're completely honest about everything and be done with it. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I want to just tell them that, hey, this is everything. This is the stuff that you did. This is the stuff that you didn't. And that way we can just move on from this because, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Just get it over with. Can you pull back up your phone?
Yeah.
And let's just go through.
What day?
We're going to see if March 3rd of 2019.
Of 19?
You can see how long we're going back here.
I don't think that's down here, because I switched to spring. And I want to say August or September last year.
Okay.
So it's not gonna go that far back.
That's fine.
I'll take it back.
We'll work with what we got.
You said March of last year?
Yeah. What time?
2:45,
Would you, what
1 o'clock,
was it?
11 a.m.
And was there anything looked up around there?
Yes, Ronald Allen interviewed. Associated with his notes.
Okay. Did you talk to him about anything about that? You talked to him for 13 minutes.
Ronald Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I think I pulled Ronald Allen over that day. He didn't, I don't even know that he would even know him. I think I was trying to figure out who he was because I pulled him over and it was.
The 15th and the 14th.
Okay, what about the January 3rd? No, we already know. You had a conversation with him on May 29th, do you recall?
I don't remember. I mean, I've talked to him on the phone several times over the, you know.
Anything specifically though?
He was probably telling me about his, whatever he was doing, his campaign or whatever, I guess. I don't know.
What other information that you know off the top of your head have you shared with him that is sensitive information that would have been of employees? Did you share with him anything about Davis?
Davis?
Yeah.
No. Shelby, was there anything to share with her? I mean.
Well, someone gave out her address, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. You said.
So is there gonna be text messages between you guys that you got deleted?
I mean, there could be.
Well,
I mean, like I said, I delete everything but my primary people.
But you just said you do, so there is text messages. They're just not in here.
There's text messages from hundreds of people that are deleted on there.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Doesn't
So
mean it's nefarious.
My point is that, no, I'm not saying it isn't, but if we're trying to rule out things that are in here, then we need to go and look at text messages. The only way to do that is to get into your account, because that's the only place that they're tracked, because you've already deleted them, right?
Well, yeah, I delete everybody, but like I said, this.
Right, so that's why I'm saying that we could sit here and be here for hours, but we can't because we've got to get the text messages. So that's why we need to get, where do we end up with the account? Because that's where it's going to be, right? You primarily probably text him. If you've only talked to him 3 times, then you're primarily texting him.
We don't have a great deal of contact with him. I mean, we're not in daily, weekly, even a monthly communication.
I
mean, your call history shows that you guys don't call each other.
It's not, we're not.
But you're saying you guys never texted, or you did text?
Well, we have texted.
You have texted,
before.
okay, I got you.
Then why, I don't get why you, like, why would you give him that information then? If you're not that good of friends, even though you just got through saying that you guys went through everything together, and you only talk 3 times a year, basically, is what it looked like. Why would
He
you
just
give?
told me he needed to get a hold of him. I didn't think there was anything that was,
So he didn't say anything else? He just
No.
thought he was gonna talk to him?
No.
But what did you think he was gonna talk to him about?
I wasn't really sure.
Is there anything else? Because we're gonna sit here and look at it. Is there anything else that you gave out? Why were you looking up the inmates that were dead? Like, what is the reasoning? Like, I don't do that. I don't know people that just sit down and look up dead inmates unless they're looking into dead inmates for somebody.
Well, like I told you, the one the other day was the one that the lady, his mom called me. That was that one.
Right.
Explain.
Explain.
And, you know,
So why?
whenever you've heard about stuff, you're like, well,
Where's my phone? So why, what about the other ones?
just curious to see if I knew who they were. You know, I've been around a long time, I know a lot of these people, in and out, they're frequent flyers, or, you know, same people that were coming in as a deputy were the same ones coming in.
Why'd you look up
as a sergeant.
semen?
Semen?
That was recent. What was the reason? That was on April 22nd.
Why, I looked semen up?
Mhm.
I had heard that he had, been having an affair with somebody here, and I was just, gonna see what he looked like. Be honest with you.
Okay. That's explainable. I mean, I get it.
That's all.
Okay. So, so why were you looking up Wingo, inmate Wingo?
Inmate Wingo?
Mhm.
Who was inmate Wingo?
It's an inmate who died.
Oh, he's one of them at the time. When did I look that up? I don't even recall that name, other than our Wingo, it's kind of an unusual name.
Back in 2019, towards the time you looked up, same thing you looked up Coachman. You know Coachman. It's not inmate, that's a deputy.
I think I looked up Coachman to see if he was still employed, but I don't know if he was still here or not.
But you looked him up before an article came out. 2 days. 2 days. And you looked up 3 dead inmates. Wingo, Drake, and Hart. The most recent Hart interaction is explainable, but the first one, I don't know why you're looking at that.
They're looking at right when it happened. Is that? I don't remember when it was.
Day after.
Like I said, whenever we hear about this, I'm curious to see if I know who they are.
Okay. The other one, this one I can see. You're working the desk, you look up inmate. The other one, Wingo, I don't know why you were looking up the name Wingo. Because, I mean, doesn't make sense. Drake, arrested, transported, and then shortly after, you look him up. You look him up. You look him up. At 12:06. So an hour and a half after. Is that something you normally do? You just look up?
I mean, when we got our deputies arrested, I knew that they were going out there to get him because we had to send some of our people out there. Some of my guys went with whoever went out there to, was it the cab or wherever the heck they got him?
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure out who it was. I mean, I was working that day, I knew what was going on because my people were involved in bringing him in or whatever they were doing. It was either the bringing him in or when they went back and were interviewing the girlfriend or whatever was going on. I mean, I was kind of aware of what was up in that, I just didn't know who he was.
Gotcha. Okay. If we get your, if and when, well not if, when, we get your text records, or is there gonna be a lot of text messages with Herndon?
Mm-hmm.
How many would you say?
I don't know how many, probably looking at very few days of a month, if any per, again, I mean, really.
And in those text messages, what did you guys talk about?
Shit, all kinds of stuff. I mean, him, whatever he was up to, you know, what I was doing here now, you know, just the normal stuff you talked about so many men for a while, but.
So the only 3 calls you have is the only 3 times, other than a few text messages, to Herndon. And I would assume that Herndon is Herndon,
Yeah.
Jimmy Herndon, right? What's your phone number?
My phone number?
Mm-hmm.
770?
Have you talked to Herndon any other way? As far as sharing this kind of information? Emails, messenger apps, Facebook?
I mean, I talk to people on Messenger.
I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about anyone you would have shared information from the sheriff's office, interweb, whether it's inmate information. Is there any other means of communication that you've used? You have Facebook Messenger?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you use that?
I use it.
Okay, can you pull that up?
Sure.
You gotta love all the spam on there too.
What's that?
All the spam messages that people get.
He's not in there.
Have you talked to him on there before?
I've messaged him before, but I've always deleted his stuff.
Why is that?
I just didn't want to be associated if anything happened.
Right, because I would assume that the conversations were not talking about drinking beer and hanging out on the weekend, right?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily, there's absolutely nothing that was being shared, it shouldn't have been shared, but
Well, it was.
it's personal information between he and I. It didn't have anything to do with the sheriff's office.
Right, which is fine. And I'm not trying to make this, because of any other thing. Literally, it's the fact that you can have whatever conversation you want to have with other people outside of here. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that someone, as in you, shared the personal cell phone number of someone who did not want to share it with another individual, right?
Okay.
And so, is there any other information sensitive that you shared other than that? Never.
Mhm.
Okay, so why were you looking up the other stuff? Literally the same, so here's the kicker. You're looking up while on the phone with him, if I'm not mistaken.
while you're on the phone with him, you're looking up other people. Just get, oh, there it is. You're on the phone with him. You're looking up these people while you're on the phone. Is that right? You recall that?
Who, Davis?
You're on the phone with Herndon. On January 30th at 1:32 p.m. this call starts, right? You're on the phone with him for 40 minutes and 24 seconds. At 13:19, that's when you look up McFadden. 30 minutes later, McFadden gets that text, right?
Okay.
So while you're still on the phone with him, starting at 1:32, at 13:26, you're looking up Ramos. And then you're looking up Owens. So, like, you're on the phone with him and you're looking up stuff, is what I see. Why?
Hadn't Ramos already passed away by then?
I believe so. But why are you, I mean, why? What's the explanation? You're talking to Herndon. While you're on the phone with Herndon, you're looking these people up. So what did you tell him?
I can't remember the specifics of a phone call 6-7 months ago.
It was a 40-minute phone call about employees at the sheriff's office and inmates. 40 minutes. And you don't remember, but you can remember the other little thing. I mean, the thing is, it's just, we're already past the point. Like, we've already determined that you shared the information. Just, like, what did y'all talk about? Because like I said, this other stuff's explainable. I get it. If you just tell me that you screwed up one time and told him stuff that you shouldn't have told him because he's your friend. That's what would make sense to me. That would make perfect sense to anybody, right? And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but as I said earlier, that didn't make sense. The fact that McFadden was called in text just after that, as a trained investigator, you and I would agree that that's called a clue, right? Well, this is also called a clue. While you're on the phone with someone who you've already told me you shared a phone number with, it didn't just stop there. It didn't just stop as a phone number, like here's his phone number. You continued. So what else did you tell him?
I don't recall him asking anything about Reddish or Coachman or...
I didn't say Reddish or Coachman. I'm talking about this specific date. The other things I will agree with you on, okay? I can see that. I can see how people may look up Reddish because they're due in courts or whatever. Coachman because there was something going out on them, people are talking about. This is a fact. These are all possibilities. These are facts that I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to get to you. Because I'm not trying to beat you up on it. I don't want to sit here and harp on this, but this is the only thing that matters right now. You've got to explain this to me because I'm telling you, command staff's going to go, why in the world was he on the phone with this other person who's not employed by the sheriff's office for 40 plus minutes? And during that same time frame, he's looking up people. There's a conversation that was had. What was it? You remember it. There's no way. There's no way.
Like I said, he told me he wanted to talk to McFadden. I honestly can't recall specifics of anything reference to these other people. Hell, I might have been just looking up stuff, listening to them live.
Randomly, you just pick these guys out? You just randomly picked them?
This is a long time ago. I mean,
You talked to him 3 times in the last year. It's not like we're talking about a lot of times. And I mean, we can sit here all day, but until this is explained, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I said, hey, this is not a coincidence, and then boom, in your phone, there's a call 40 minutes to Herndon. Now, once again, I'm saying this is not a coincidence. There's got to be an explanation. Give me something, because you not recalling and you having a 40-minute conversation, coincidentally, when you didn't recall having that, just happened to be on the same day as this is not gonna work.
Was this the last time you spoke to him? Or was this?
I'm sure I talked to him.
So you talked to him since then? Did he ask you about Goins or Amos or?
We might have been just talking about, I'm not sure when she passed away, I thought it was last year. He might have just said, I heard about Ramos or something, I can't remember, honestly, I can't remember the specifics, but there would be no reason for him to need information about her, honestly.
Right. I mean, it would make sense to me if he was asking you and you weren't familiar with those and you said,
I
but.
mean, he may have asked me if Coachman still worked here. I may have looked at him just to see if he was still here and said, yeah, he still works here. But, you know, if that's sharing information.
Right, we're not talking about a federal crime here.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I mean, if I say, yeah, he's still here.
But you see what I'm saying, how if I called you and I was asking you questions
Right.
and you're looking stuff up while I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
and you might not have given the information, but you
Right.
would at least recall, I would assume that, I would remember if we talked, I would recall, oh yeah, I remember Sergeant Barnard calling me and asking me about Ramos, I remember him asking me about Goins, I remember, you know, I didn't tell him anything, but I remember him doing those things. So that's why we're asking you,
Right.
you have to remember part of that conversation. I don't believe, I've known you for a long time, I know you're very intelligent, I don't believe that you don't remember. I'm not asking word for word, we're just
Yeah.
asking what was the general context of that conversation. And if you gave him additional information, this is your chance to come clean and just say, you know, because if it goes further than us to the command staff or whoever, you might not get that chance again. So this is what investigator is trying to tell you is
Yeah.
this is your chance, Sergeant.
Yeah, because this is when, we have all day. When you get to a hearing and you come off this stuff then, it's not gonna go well. Because you have the opportunity to be truthful with us. We're not trying to beat you up on it because we're trying to help you out. Like, we are here to listen and you need to tell us the things now. Just like the Coachman thing, just like you said. Earlier, you didn't know why you were looking at Coachman. It could have been because of the news article or whatever, or you wanted to see if he's still employed. You said you were thinking about, oh, I wanted to see if he was still employed. No, it was, now you're saying it could have been
Well,
like
I mean,
Herndon.
if it's during this call, I mean, like I said, I don't remember when this.
Coachman was not during this call.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
I thought you said it was during the call.
No, this was during the call, it was Goins, Ramos, and who else? You mentioned.
I think he asked me if, he must have asked me if Goins was still here. I don't remember when he
Right,
left, but
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because he wants to know if the person works here or not.
I think he must have told me that he left. I didn't even know anything about that.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. What else? You had a 40-minute conversation with him. 40 minutes of what? I mean, were you bitching about the sheriff's office, which is, I mean, you're right to do. You can talk to somebody about your job. I'm just trying to make sure, like we said, we can go on for days. But if you are gonna come off with some stuff, it needs to come off now because there's not gonna be the time to do this later on. We're gonna sit this in front of them and we're gonna say, this is the facts. And then they're gonna see everything that we're seeing. And to these guys, you know, these men and women who've been doing this a lot longer than we have, it didn't take me very long to figure this out.
I mean, if during the course of that conversation or any communication with him, I never felt like I was giving him anything that wasn't out there. It wasn't public record, that wasn't, like the phone number of McFadden, he told me he wanted to call him. I may have said he or she does or doesn't work here, whatever, stuff like that. I never felt though I stepped over the line and was like, you know, I'm not gonna put my damn neck on the line for him, knowingly anyway.
Right,
I mean,
so-
we're not that close, I mean, it was
So
like.
what I want you to do is to tell me everything and let me choose whether it's a policy violation, right? I present the facts, right? That's what we do.
Right.
That's all I need to do right now is get the facts. If I can't get the facts from you, then how are we supposed to know what happened, right? If you didn't feel that it was wrong, that's okay. We may, in command staff may think that you're probably right on some things, but that's for us to put on paper and say, this is the thing, you know, this is what happened on this day, I gave him whatever, I, you know, told him he was still employed. That's all I told him, right? That's a fact. That's what we're here to find, is the facts.
Right.
So that's what I need to have from you, is the facts of what was said.
If there was other conversations had that you did not feel were, wrong conversations, well, you still need to tell me about them, because we have to find the facts. Because if we find more stuff out later, this is not where it ends. We're gonna talk to other people. And if we find other things out, and then now we're coming back and saying, well, you didn't tell us about that before. Now, we're starting down the path of, now he's lying, right? And we don't wanna do that in this profession. We'd just rather be open book. So, what else?
I mean, most of the times that we've communicated, it's been him telling me stuff, talking about whatever went on with him here. And I'm sure y'all know, whatever, 100 Open Records Act filings he's.
Which is the proper way to obtain information.
So, I mean, it's not like he didn't have, he knew way more than I did about any of this stuff going on. Now, if he asked me if so-and-so still works here.
Who? So-and-so, specific times, the.
So, I'm sorry, let me ask you this, just so we can build the trust with each other, what was he telling you then? I mean, you gotta remember some of the stuff he was telling you.
He was telling me.
Yeah, like what was going on?
There
What he was doing?
was some kind of, he told me that he thought he was being followed by some people up here, that there was like lawsuits going back and forth with him and the sheriff, that there was some, this is him talking.
Sure, I agree, that's what I'm saying, but.
And of course, I'm listening to some of the stuff, like whatever, but
Right.
that they had monkeyed with his personnel file, that they changed some stuff, and he was suing about that, and, just whatever he was trying to do on his election thing,
Okay.
all this, most of, guarantee 90% of anything we ever could, y'all know him, sure, it was him. I'm just sitting there listening. Well, I mean, that's really.
But I do, and I understand
That's
where you're
how
coming
it is.
from.
I mean, it was, to me, he would tell me stuff I had no clue about.
Like what? Can you recall any other things that threw you for a loop? Because I mean, if you had no clue, I know we both know that the rumors that you hear something and you go, oh man, and that sticks in your mind.
He would tell me something about what he told me about Drew Gordon's stuff.
What did he tell you about it? Do you remember?
He was saying something that, I think he said that the only reason why that they let him come back is that his file had been finagled with somehow, and they had to let him come back. There's something about him. I think he told me about Goins.
Okay.
I had no idea Goins had even got in trouble and left or whatever. I didn't even know anything about that. I mean, just stuff like that. I mean, he knew way more than I ever know down there. But, excuse me, anything that he and I talked about that had anything to do with this place and the subject matter of which it could be tedious to release something, he already knew everything. I didn't have to release anything to him. He knew all about it. He was telling me stuff that, about whatever the deal was, but, it wasn't, hey man, I got some more information. Sure. I mean, we're.
So when he called you on the date that you guys, and I apologize, I'm not familiar with this case that much. So when he called you about Goins, was he telling you about Goins or was he asking you about Goins?
I think he said something about Goins had been like freaked out, and like he showed his girlfriend or wife or some shit, and that he was fired or was he fired, and I was like, shit, I didn't know that. Maybe I looked him up, and was like, I guess he wasn't here then, I don't remember what that was, but maybe something like that, but, he would have already had that information from someone else though.
I agree with you, but
Yeah.
we're not asking did you tell him about Goins, we're asking that you looked up
I probably
Goins.
did to see if he was still employed, because I didn't know,
And that was the question is why did you search for Goins?
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
to see if he was still even
Okay.
employed here.
So you searched to see if he was still an active employee or if he was a former employee at that point? Okay. So why did you search for Amos then?
I honestly don't know why I did that, unless it was just to see, her, because I know, do we even know, anybody know exactly when she passed away, it was around before then, I think?
I don't, to be honest with you.
Somewhere around there.
I don't think that had anything to do with him, it might have just been a coincidence.
Okay.
Something popped in my mind, maybe about her, maybe that was around the time. What could I tell him about her?
Oh, And I don't know, but you see what I'm saying, where if you have an explanation, it makes
Yeah.
sense. Why hide that, why keep that to yourself?
Right.
Why not just be forthcoming and say, hey, look, I talked to Herndon, and he was telling me about this, and I didn't know, so I looked it up, he asked me if he was still a former employee, And I said this, and I'm not saying you said that, but you see where that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's not like you called to tell him about Goins getting terminated or resigning on his own.
Right.
You were just saying, oh yeah, you know what, you're right, he no longer works here. Okay, not that big of a deal. But when you sit there and you don't just be forthcoming with information, it looks like you're trying to hide something.
Right.
And that's all Investigator Gross is trying to tell you is, it looks 10 times worse when you're trying to cover up than when you just become forthcoming and just tell us or answer the questions.
I mean, honestly, I'm 53 years old.
Sure.
I'm not as sharp as a young bud.
I
I
understand
can't
that.
remember things I did 2 weeks ago. This is 7 months ago.
Right.
If y'all ask me a direct question, I'll certainly answer it truthfully to the best of my memory.
Yes, sir.
But we're talking about phone calls 6, 7 months ago. I just don't remember all the specifics.
And I understand that, and I get it, like, I truly get it. It just, you see where it's hard to believe for somebody sitting on the other side of the table. If I was your deputy, right, let's just play the deputy game, and you could ask me about something that happened 5 months ago that I didn't write a report on, and I said, I don't recall, Sarge, what would be your response? You'd straight up say bullshit. You have to remember
Right.
something about this incident.
Right.
You just don't recall.
Yeah.
And that's all we're saying is you had a 40-minute conversation with a man. I'm not saying you did or didn't tell him anything, because I don't know. I'm just asking, well, he's asking the questions, I haven't even really asked any questions. And we're just saying, don't feed us the bullshit of I don't recall.
Right.
That's all we're trying to tell you. Be forthcoming, be honest, you know, and that's it. That's all we're asking for. If you don't recall and you don't recall,
Yeah.
you don't recall. But if it turns out that you did recall and you didn't tell us, that's gonna look 10 times worse than if you just said, hey, look, I fucked up.
I understand.
I gave him a phone number, I told him the guy didn't work here.
I told him that I gave him.
Right, and you, absolutely you did.
But, yeah, I had no idea it was, since he, knew McFadden, that it was gonna be a total clusterfuck.
Right, and I believe you just gave him a phone number thinking he wanted to call McFadden, because he worked here just as long as you had, so I believe you.
Obviously you're familiar with the policy, but I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. You believe, let me read this to you, engaging in any behavior and or activity that causes disruption or dissension within the agency or that brings discredit to the agency. Do you think that by releasing a phone number and having someone show up to someone's house unannounced or text messages from a reporter would cause someone to cause disruption?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think unauthorized use of agency equipment, telephones, facilities, vehicles, copy machines, computers, printers, cameras such as a computer, obviously in this case, do you think that was unauthorized? Did you have permission to release phone number of McFadden? No, so you would agree that that is unauthorized use?
Yep.
Unauthorized disclosure or dissemination of confidential information?
Yep.
Those things obviously exist for a reason. And I know at the time you didn't think it was a big deal, and, you get caught up talking to people and people you trust, right? But those people don't have any care in the world about what happens to your job, because they don't have one, right?
Yeah.
So I want to go back over a couple little things because, just to confirm some of the previous things. Can I see your phone again? The call log, please, sir.
The call on?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just go back over some dates here. And you've never shared any information such as this with anybody else other than Herndon?
Anytime there's a policy violation, it can have progressive discipline up to termination, but that's a decision the command staff would have to make. You can't answer that as well. And so we just find the facts today, and then we'll take the facts to the command staff, that'll determine if a hearing, blah, 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 and it'll go from there.
I try to be very careful in any type of communication I've ever had with him. Make sure I get myself hemmed up. And obviously, I shouldn't have given that phone number, but it's not like I'm just doling out private information to get me screwed up here. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
Well, maybe a pleasure.
You did leave his phone call in your phone.
I should have deleted it. See, it's like I don't have anything to hide, though. I'm like.
I know, I get you. So,
And that just goes to what I was saying to you about being forthcoming.
It's like I don't know what I was coming up here for, but if I had some, numerous phone calls, man. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Try to lock it in while you're talking about that.
Do you have an email address you have your Sprint stuff sent to?
Yeah, I've got my main email.
Do you mind putting that in there, see if it'll send out to you?
We gotta get into this, because we're not leaving until we get those.
So, Connor, you and I were talking a little bit earlier. I asked you if there was anything that you were upset about. I do remember hearing people saying that you had told him that you call Herndon and tell him stuff about the sheriff's office. Is that something you might have said just to say it, or were you actually calling to update him on stuff going on here?
Somebody said I said that?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were so mistaken.
Okay, so you never said that to anybody that...
I don't recall saying that.
Yeah, okay. Just so you kind of understand, I know we talked a lot about it, but what's the stuff that was being searched for, and what obviously Herndon was receiving information on, were cases that are going through litigation with the county, cases that have open investigations, all of which any information shared would be confidential. You understand that, right?
I don't have any information about any of that.
Right,
I
but
understand, but
what would be in the search systems that you have access to as a sergeant here would be confidential information. Like earlier you were talking about whether someone works here or not really being a big deal. It seems a little bit surprising to me you wouldn't realize that is not something you're supposed to share. I mean, you know, when someone calls and they want a police report, what do? Just an average Joe calls the desk and wants a copy of a police report. Yeah. Come and see Robin Clements for open records. And that's not what you seem to have been doing with him, at least in that call we know about. I get it's a little tricky because you know him and it's somewhat familiar and all that, but the elephant in the room is that he doesn't work here anymore. Clearly that's why he's calling you, to get the information instead of looking it up himself. Do you know who Maris Lutz is?
who?
Maris Lutz?
Maris Lutz.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
So, you've never had any involvement with her? You don't know who that is?
Is that an attorney or something?
No, it's a journalist.
Oh, no, I've never talked to her.
So you don't have involvement with the investigations that she's doing with Herndon?
I've never spoken with her.
Okay.
That name sounds somewhat familiar. I've never spoken with her.
All right. She writes a lot of articles about the sheriff's office, so that's the journalist that reached out to McFadden. And she was able to do that because you provided the phone number to Herndon. And they're working together on what they call investigations into stuff here at the sheriff's office. So whether you knew it or not, you became involved in their investigations by providing information.
I never communicated with her in any way.
So you've never had to sit down or talk to her? You don't reckon? Okay.
Never anything. Phone, text, sit down, never.
Has Herndon ever talked about her or any investigation that he's conducting on his own?
He never really phrased anything he was talking to me about as some kind of investigation.
So what do you think he wanted the information for?
I thought he wanted McFadden's number to give him a call. I didn't know he was
He didn't say why he wanted to call him?
He said I need to talk to him.
Uh-huh. It was a 40-minute call, so y'all talking about something.
And that's the part about the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Do you remember what the bulk of that conversation was then, if it wasn't about McFadden?
I really don't. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Okay. Would you say that how would you describe your position here, your assignment, how you feel about your assignment in the sheriff's office right now? Outside of this, before you walked in here today, what's your headspace about your assignment, where you are, and the sheriff's office in general?
It's a good gig down there.
You're happy in your assignment? That's pretty good. Day shift, field ops.
Pretty good career, day shift.
Would people describe you as the happy-go-lucky type, or more of a...
I think probably lately they would.
Later? What do you mean?
Lately?
Lately?
Yeah.
What's changed lately?
I guess what you're getting at, I'm assuming what you're getting at is, I had to get promoted on the last two lists I was on,
Mm-hmm.
which,
It's reasonable to be frustrated.
So I was pissed.
Yeah.
Well, frustrated, I was pissed.
Yeah.
But that didn't make me want to go give somebody information. I mean, this place is still where I work. It's still where I get my bread and butter from.
Okay.
But, and again, all that happened before any of this stuff. Yeah, I was disappointed. I've never been anywhere in my past history, employment history before I got here. I've always been when it goes up, it's promoted, up, moving and shaking. And when that got basically, well, let me just say this, when it became clear to me last year in January that wasn't going to happen here, because I'm not an idiot. When they promote 12 people around you that haven't been here as long, haven't been a sergeant as long, haven't done half of what you've done, they obviously don't like you for whatever reason. But they never tell you that. You don't know that. You don't know. You just know you don't get promoted. You see people that you train to do stuff go around you. You know, yeah, I think any human being that gives a shit about what they're doing,
Right.
that's going to piss them off. If I didn't care, if I just wanted to be some lackey here, I would have never even tested to be a sergeant.
Right.
I could have just poked around, worked part-times, made whatever money I wanted to, you know, how much I wanted to do. I really could have wanted to go out part-time to enjoy my time off with my family and whatnot. See, I was disappointed last year.
Okay. And then
This year, I decided, hey, man, in the final few years, got a good gig, I'm just going to run it out. And
how long do you have before you're eligible to retire?
4 years yesterday.
4 years yesterday. Okay. So you feel like you've taken a new approach to your demeanor at work as regards to that?
Absolutely.
Because of that? You didn't test again this last time, did you?
I'm not going to test again.
Okay.
Why waste my time doing all that?
Right. And these are, I get where you're coming from, but these are obvious questions that in a case like this, I kind of need to know if that had anything to do with it, because I don't disagree. You can be frustrated with not agreeing with it. You feel like that it's because someone doesn't like you. That's an assumption you're making, but I can understand why you might think that, because a lot of people were promoted and I guess you weren't selected, but that could potentially lead a person to do this, but you're telling me that's not the case. Okay, so your conversations with Herndon had nothing to do with you being upset about the agency not promoting you or things the agency were doing. You were just giving a number to Herndon so he can call McFadden.
That's what he asked for.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure that you get a chance to explain that, because if no one ever asked it, then someone could assume it. And if it's not the case, I don't want them to do that.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know, you try to get make it to the next step, but I can't promote myself. I did what I did as far as, you know, trying to bust my ass, don't call out. You can look at my sick time. I think I've got close to 1,400 hours of sick and over 400 of annual leave. I don't lay out. You can talk to any of the people that I think work for me, and probably 90-95% of them will say that I'm a good sergeant, I'm a good supervisor, I look out for them, I'm genuinely concerned about their safety and their well-being here. Regardless of race, gender, any of that stuff like that, they're all my family in my opinion.
Okay.
And, so I think I've done a pretty damn good job here. I've probably rubbed a few people along over the years. Yes, I have, but I mean, at the end of the day,
We have a way of presenting things sometimes, like even this week when I saw you downstairs. You obviously have an opinion about a former major that's retired, and you chose to express it downstairs in the middle of everything in front of me and the commander. And that may just be your personality, but is that the most professional thing to do? I don't think you would agree it was. Right?
no, probably not. I mean,
Probably not.
at least with you, I felt like we still had some type of friendship from being sergeants together out there and going back and forth with things. And
Yeah, a friendship. I mean, we worked together as sergeants on the road, and we got shit done. I get that. And I didn't get onto your ass in the middle of the basement either. But I heard it, and I
thought afterwards, I thought I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
He just really struck a chord with me. He was
I understand that you're not going to get along with
He was a
everybody.
total freak to me from the time I started to the time he left. I mean,
Right. So whenever you're saying things like "I'm good this year," and I've got a whole new outlook on things. But then this week, I've heard that. I've got to ask you these questions. Where is your head at? Because if I don't see you every day, I hardly ever see you anymore. So if that's where you're at every day, that's going to come out. People are going to see that. The sergeant's pissed. The sergeant's saying, about a command staff member.
The thought of him and whatever kind of,
right.
It's him, it wasn't a general.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to, really before this year, probably, I don't know, after the summer, fall last year, I'm just kind of, just quit worrying about it. Just
okay.
Roll it out. Which that was my plan till now. Maybe update my resume now.
Well, that's not for us to decide. That's for the command staff.
The same people that didn't promote me will be choosing my fate, so it doesn't give me a huge warm and fuzzy.
Well, I can only tell you this. I've been up here almost 3 years now, and I see a lot of difficult things go in front of the command staff, and we don't fire people left and right. If it's there, it's there. Mm-hmm. But it's not like some agencies where at the drop of a hat, I mean, surely you can attest to that. Yeah. People are given chances. I'm not saying what your outcome is going to be because I really don't know. Mm-hmm. But to just lump them in as the same people who didn't promote you and to have that feeling, I guess I can understand it maybe, but I wouldn't. I would keep an open mind to this. I mean, this is serious stuff. This is all, I mean, from the agency standpoint, you don't know how many lawsuits we have, right? Unless Herndon told you. Right.
I don't have any idea.
Right. So why expose yourself like that to where you may be giving information? You do represent the agency when you speak, especially while you're at work using our systems to look up stuff. So it's all confidential. And you've got investigations from a journalist and a former employee that you involved yourself in either willingly or unknowingly. But either way, you were involved in them.
Well, it was totally unknowingly because I had no idea of anything about some reporter, whatever, whoever she is.
Okay. Have you talked to him since then, Herndon? Since January?
Sure, I have.
Yeah. So do you normally delete those logs out of your phone too? The call log?
Phone log, he was in my phone log, wasn't
Yeah, only 3 times.
That's okay. I don't talk to him often. No.
So 3 times in the last year is it?
During this year, whatever was in there.
Okay.
I was going to delete them. I would have deleted all of them. There you go.
Oh, you could miss one. I mean, if you're going through manually, it's possible to miss one. You delete your text messages, so.
Well, from everybody but a handful of people or so.
I understand. Some people do that. I've seen that before. And once we compare the call records to what you're saying, maybe it'll line right up. There's only 3 calls there, so that'll explain that away.
Yeah.
I wish you would have. I know that you're playing it to the whole. It was just he wanted his number, but the way I look at it is like, to me, you've got to remind yourself that what someone does with that information, regardless of phone number, address, or not, you're responsible for it, And the way I look at it is more from a criminal side, like not in this particular instance, but what's to say the GCIC operator who gets a call from a friend is like, hey, can you look up this address? And they they just asked for an address and I gave it to them, and then that person goes and kills somebody. Now you're part of the conspiracy. You're part of that crime. You're a party too. And although this is merely just some policies, like, the policies are written for a reason. Like, there's always, they always say there's someone's name on a policy. Well, I'm sure there was somewhere down the road a policy written because of a similar incident. And so, we have to keep ourselves accountable for the actions that we do, even though we don't really, at the time, understand the outcome of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I get it. That wasn't your intent to have a reporter call McFadden, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. So, and
yeah,
probably pisses you off if
first
that's
time hearing that, I feel terrible about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish I could undo it, redo it, but I certainly wouldn't do it again. You scam me.
It's like, regardless of who it went to, they don't have your best interest in mind. They don't care. They're not sitting here talking to us right now. So, what do they care? That's the unfortunate thing about it.